So today's our last day. Yeah, but we have two classes. And does that mean you can come to the second one, Kat? Okay. Okay, in theory. Well, if you do, then you'll get the whole thing because this will be it. And we've covered half the Gita, so that means we have to cover the other half today. Yeah, we've had 8 classes, and now we have 2 classes to cover the other half. But what I'll do is I'll just pull out some highlights maybe, and let's see how it goes. Um, are you ready? So we're in the midst of the middle 6 chapters. We've gone through the 9th chapter, 7th chapter, 8th chapter, 9th chapter. Some common themes have been coming up. It had a lot. It has a lot to do with seeing Krishna everywhere, with a steady, unbreaking meditation. That's been our message that's been driven home. And what I really want to share, and in sharing with you, share with myself, reinforce my own conviction. Let's not read this book for our entire life or pick it up every now and then for the rest of our entire life and not hear its message, right? Like not hear its central message. Let us not let this go in one ear and out the other, and not become very determined, dissatisfied with our current condition. We're satisfied in terms of material, right? Like we want to be satisfied. Okay, I have the basic necessities that I need. I don't need any opulences, great opulences in life or external things. But on the internal level, let us not be satisfied. Let's not be lazy. And let us hear that when Krishna is emphatically telling us again and again that we can come to this place of this clarity, of unbroken, steady, meditative focus on Him, that this is not just talk, that this can practically be achieved by a combination of our determined effort and especially by His grace, that we can that this can be done. That's how I'm hearing it, right? That this needs to become something that rises to the forefront of my desire and to the top of my list of priorities in life. How can I be moving through this world so dull that I'm not seeing Krishna everywhere? I can't take this anymore. I don't want this anymore. This has to change. You feel that urgency in Krishna's, yes, 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 right? I told that story about the kid that's, the parents bring him to the Grand Canyon. Mm-hmm. It's tremendous, astonishing, uplifting vision. And the kid's just totally distracted, trying to play some inane, pointless, silly video game on his phone. Is this what we're doing in life? Are we just distracted by all kind of things and not seeing the astonishing handiwork of Krishna at every step, and not feeling Him within our own heart, not seeing Him within the hearts of others, and therefore making fools of ourselves, chasing after happiness in places where it doesn't really exist, settling for some insignificant type of pleasures that are always followed by pain, and occasionally being exposed by the material energy as lost and hopeless and desperate. Right? Doesn't that happen to us in life at certain points? We've all been there, maybe. You hit a point in life where you're just suffering intensely and you really get scared. Sometimes you need someone to hold your hand and say, it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. This is the way time works. It looks really dark and then it brightens up again. Don't worry, you'll make it. And you're suffering and crying. Then you come back a little bit, Then you try to enjoy the material world again. Join the chewed. So what if we became determined? I want to see Krishna everywhere. I want to see Krishna in the heart of every living being. When I see the sun rise, I want to think of Krishna. When I see the moon, I want to think of Krishna. When I drink water, I want to think of Krishna in so many other ways. And today we're going to hear in this next chapter that we approach now is the vibhutis. Vibhutis. Vibhutis means like certain opulent, powerful manifestations in this universe. Anything that we see, Krishna is saying, you should understand that's my vibhuti. Any beautiful, powerful, glorious manifestation in this world, at the end of this chapter, he's going to say, know it to be, anyone know? Any beautiful, glorious, I forget the exact, know it to be, but a spark. Oh, is it up there? Is it up there? Oh, no. I thought you were reading it. Spark. But it's nothing but a spark of my splendor. Spark. Little spark. Right? He says some interesting things at the end of the chapter. But he's been, so in any case, so far Krishna's been saying, see me everywhere, see me in everything, always bring your meditation to me. He's also been very effectively tying himself to the presentation of the absolute truth that was found in the Vedas and the Upanishads, but by carefully using language to say, I am the worthy object of meditation. Yes, it's me that you should be seeing, not anybody else, not even any other deva, but it's me that is ultimately behind everything. You're not quite seeing things right. You don't quite understand the metaphysical reality unless you're focused on me. And you're doing things a little bit wrong. I might even encourage you to do it wrong because you're moving in the right direction. Right? We were talking about like this. If I was doing like this, why isn't it? I'm so dissatisfied with this, No, because you don't know, you're not using it right. You got to turn it around, right? So Krishna said, you're worshiping the devas and you're wondering why you're not happy. You're going up and down, up and down. So when I say turn to me, it's not an ego thing. It's just like, this is how the universe works. Plug yourself in, stay connected, then it'll work, So we've heard a lot of this talk. Krishna saying, think of me all the time, see me everywhere, always bring your meditation to me, hold it there with unwavering meditative focus. And I am that worthy object of your meditation. I am the Purusha of the Vedas. I am the absolute truth of the Upanishads, the eternal, that which is beyond everything, the ultimate, the supreme. That's all me. So focus on me. So now we go into 10th chapter. And again, I'm just going to be picking some highlights here because we got to move more quickly now. But let's start with text 6 and 7. I think you can blow this up. 10, I'm sorry. There you go. Perfect. All right. So text 6 and 7. Arjuna speaking now. Oh no, Krishna speaking now. He says the 7 great sages. Do you know who they all are? Anybody know? Ayla sages here. Marichi. There's a whole list. These are all sons of Brahma. And from these come all the different lineages, and these are the progenitors and so on. Like everything, these are the earliest born people. The 7 great sages, and before them the 4 other great sages. Anyone know who they are? The 4 Kumaras. Yeah. And the Manus, the progenitors of mankind, they come from me, born from my mind. Whoa. It's like they're born from my mind. The original beings in the universe, I gave birth to them from my mind. And all living beings populating the various planets descend from them. One who is factually convinced of this opulence and mystic power of mine, right? When you really know who Krishna is, then the logical result of that is they engage in unalloyed devotional service. Of this, there's no doubt. And now come 4 texts, which are known as the Chatu Shloki, the 4 nutshell verses of the Bhagavad-gita, 4 verses that contain the message in just this tight little package. It begins with Krishna establishing himself as that absolute truth that's spoken about in Vedanta. What does anyone know the first verse of the Vedanta Sutra? Etato Brahma Jignasa. Now it's time to inquire into the absolute, into the Brahman, into the absolute truth. And then, do you know number 2? No? Anybody know? Janmad Yasya Yataha. The absolute truth is that from which everything has emanated. Okay? So that's like the most fundamental teachings of Vedanta, that inquire into the absolute truth. What is the absolute truth? How do we? This is something that we all should know, because it's something that comes up so much as we read Prabhupada's books. The phrase "the absolute truth." What does it mean, like philosophically? How do we understand it? And there are so many truths in this world, right? But if we just take any truth, like again, like here's the truth, like I'm sitting here right now. That's a truth, but it's not absolute truth, because like for me to sit here, there had to be truths that preceded it. There are truths that this truth is dependent on. Like for instance, I couldn't be sitting here right now unless my parents existed before me. True? True. I exist in truth, but it's a truth dependent, not absolute, relative, right? Relative to a truth that precedes it. And so then you could go back to my parents and say that, well, they're also dependent on someone that precedes them. And Krishna was just here telling us that the 7 great sages, and before them the other great sages and the Manus, we could go all the way back till we came to them, right? But even still, they're not the absolute truth, because they come from me, right? Where does Krishna come from, right? I mean, you could say Mother Yashoda, but that's just like, you know, he's ultimately you go back to him, and that's as far as it goes, right? Everything comes from him. So that was an interesting way to establish himself as the absolute truth, but he's going to be more emphatic about it in these Chatushloki. He starts by saying, I'm the source of all spiritual and material worlds. Everything emanates from me. It directly ties you back to the opening of the Vedanta Sutra, right? Everything emanates from me, all right? And then the response to that is not that one says, I am that. I am also that absolute truth. I just haven't realized it. That's not what Krishna is saying. You might have come to that conclusion. You might have been able to make that argument just looking at the Vedanta Sutra itself, because it's so cryptic. You would have a much better chance making that argument. But when you look at the Bhagavad-gita, no. Krishna can say right here that, why don't we open up text 8? Aham sarvasya prabhavo, right? Aham, I am, I of all, the source of generation. It all generates out of me. Aham sarvasya prabhavo mata sarvam pavartate. Iti matva bhajanti mam, right? Knowing this, bhajanti mam, they worship me, right? Buddha bhava samanvitaha. They got this bhav with great, here Prabhupada says attention, but you could also just as easily say with great love. When they have that bhav in their heart, right? Buddha bhava samanvitaha. So when you know that Krishna is the origin of everything, he is the absolute truth, the natural response is that you serve him with a heart full of love. This is Bhagavad-gita's teachings of Vedanta. Okay, text number, and we're going to hear more about that and how that looks. Text number 9. Much chitta, you can open up that one. Much chitta madgata prana. This is his devotees. The thoughts of my pure devotees, they dwell in me. Much chitta, their minds are fully engaged in me. Their chitta is focused on me. Much chitta. The thoughts of my pure devotees dwell in me. Their lives are fully devoted to my service. Madgata prana, their whole life is given to him. It didn't say they realize they are me. He didn't say they realize that there is nothing but the oneness. He said, no, they come devoted to me. They worship me with their heart full. And individually, now they're beyond, now they've understood the absolute truth, and they're associating with each other. They haven't all merged into one. And they derive great satisfaction and bliss. They get that bliss of the Atma, right? But how? From constantly enlightening one another and conversing about me. Katayantas chamam nityam. Nityam, all the time. Kata, they're talking mam about me, right? They talk about me all the time. That's what they do. That's where their interest lies, right? And it's unlimited. And they get tushanti, ramanti. They get satisfied and nourished and bliss, ramanti, right, from talking about him. And the next one, you can open that one up too. Tesham satata yuktanam. Satata yuktanam. Yukta means connected, right? They say this is where yoga comes from. This is the word yoke, the English word yoke. What is a yoke? Yes, like when you have two bulls or two oxen and they have that piece of wood that connects the two of them. So yoke is something that connects two things. So yukta is meaning stay connected here. Satatam, always stay connected to me. This is just the fundamental message of the Gita. Always, how do we stay connected? Devotional service. Yeah, our mind has to, we connect through the mind stays connected, and we can do that through service. Right? If you can do it simply by sitting alone, go find yourself a tree in Vrindavan and sit there and always think of Krishna, that's perfectly okay. You'll be always connected. If you can't, then you need to get active. And we'll hear about more of that in the 12th chapter. To those who are constantly devoted to serving me with love, I give them the understanding by which they come to me. And this is really how Krishna's repeatedly speaking about the perfection of yoga, that they come to me. This is how he keeps defining it. They come to me. But here, look what he's saying. He's talking about his grace here, his mercy. If someone becomes devoted with affection to serving me, then it's not like they have to achieve it on their own. It's not like they have to stand on one leg and chant Om nonstop, or do some kind of severe austerity, walk away, renounce. Just serve me with some genuine affection, and I give you the buddhi. I give you the intelligence by which you can steer through all of the obstacles, and reach him. Like that. He says, I give them that. I get personally involved. It's no longer just karma in their life playing out. I'm personally moving things in their life and giving them the understanding by which they can come to me. And to be even more emphatic about it, text number 11. Tesham evan nukam partam maham agyanajam tamaha. Nashaya yatma bhavashto gyana dipena bhavata. To show them special mercy. I, dwelling in their hearts, destroy with the shining lamp of knowledge the darkness born of ignorance. Okay, so he's just laid it out. Everything comes from me. I'm the absolute truth. When you understand that I am the absolute truth, you serve me with a heart full of love. You do it with other devotees, always absorbed in speaking about me, and you derive great satisfaction and pleasure that way. And then I just say, I make sure that you get everything you need to return to me and transcend the material world. Right? I bring you to me. All right, and I get right in there with that lamp, light everything up. Okay, so now we've heard, in one sense, the whole message of the Gita there, and Krishna has now, for some time, been talking about his own position, and here he said it really emphatically: everything emanates from me. All planets, all devas, everything is coming from me. I am that absolute truth. Now Arjuna speaks. This is powerful. This is a very powerful statements that are going to be made here in text 12 through 15, that Arjuna is confirming what Krishna has said about himself. All right, and let's hear what he says. Why don't we open that one up? There we go. Param Brahma, Param Dhamma, Param Brahma. Not just that you are the Brahman, but you are the Para Brahman. That within the categories of Brahman, Krishna has multifarious energies, right? In one sense, everything is Brahman, right? What is it? Sarva Vidam Brahma, right? But Krishna is the part of Brahman, that Brahman from which all the other Brahman is supported, that Brahman from which all other energies manifest, unique, different energies, actually. This is something that the impersonalists don't quite grasp. But if we go back to the Shruti, it says that supreme absolute truth has multifarious energies. And they're manifesting in different ways. But Arjuna is saying, you are the Pada Brahman, the supreme Brahman, right, the highest Brahman. Param Dhamma, here he says, you are the ultimate abode. Pavitram Paramam Bhavan. Pavitra means, anyone know Om Pavitra Pavitrova? You purify everything. You're the supreme purifier, right? You're the supreme purifier. Why don't we roll it up? You are the supreme personality Godhead, the ultimate abode, the purest, the absolute truth. You are the eternal, transcendental, original person. Adi Devam Ajam Vibhum. The unborn, the greatest. All right, he's emphatic and clear, and there should be no room for misunderstanding. And then he says, and you know what? It's not just me saying this. You're telling me this now, but Arjuna, if you read about their lives, because they were the kings, the great sages would come and drop in on them. They would walk into the palace. And you read about this in Mahabharata and Ramayana and in the Puranas. A sage like Vyasadeva will show up in the kingdom, in the palace of the king. And you know what happens when they show up? Even like they're barefoot and they got these dreadlocks and they're just kind of in a loincloth. They show them right to the front, right? They bring them right to the king. The king's very excited. Oh, you've come. You sit on my throne. I'll wash your feet. How can I serve you? Please enlighten me. And so Arjuna's seen this happen in his own palace. The great sages would come. And he speaks about that here. He says, you're all these things. All the great sages such as Narada, Asita, Devala, Vyas himself confirm this truth about you, and now you yourself are declaring it to me. All right? Everybody knows this. Vyas himself, who's the compiler of the Vedanta, he knows this. He's told me. I've heard him say this before. Right? I never quite fully got it. Maybe Arjuna could say, right? Like he was still relating to him as a friend. Mm-hmm. But yeah, everybody's told me about you. Right? His love might have not had him always fully aware of it. But yeah, everybody says that this about you. Okay, next verse. O Krishna, I totally accept as truth all that you have told me. Neither the demigods nor the demons, O Lord, can understand your personality. You can go back to the full thing. Indeed, you alone know yourself by your own internal potency. O Supreme Person, origin of all, Lord of all beings, God of gods, Lord of the universe. And so earlier in the chapter, he said, can you tell me about your opulences? You've been telling me to see you everywhere. Tell me more. Tell me more about how everything is your opulence, is your vibhuti. I want to understand that. And then you get a long list. Here, please tell me in detail of your divine opulences by which you pervade all these worlds. O Krishna, O Supreme Mystic, how shall I constantly think of you? You've been telling me to constantly think of you. How shall I constantly think of you? And how shall I know you? In what various forms are you to be remembered, O Supreme Personality Godhead? O Janardana, again, and please describe in detail the mystic power of your opulences. I'm never satiated in hearing about you, for the more I hear, the more I want to taste the nectar of your words. So Arjuna is tasting something now. He was suffering before, but having heard about Krishna's opulences, you can see his mind is becoming more peaceful. And he's becoming excited about hearing about Krishna. And now he's saying, how do I see you everywhere? Tell me about your opulences, how you manifest in this world. And this is really significant for us because When we see something opulent, our tendency is to become distracted by that, right? The best singer, the best athlete, the best, whatever it might be. We tend to, when we see that, we think, we forget about Krishna and we think about the greatness of this person.
Mm-hmm.
But Krishna is saying, when you see the greatness in that person, see me as the one granting them that greatness. So now that you see the same exact thing, but you're not in forgetfulness of me, it's not a distraction, it's actually directing you towards thinking about me. Does that make sense? You get it? So that's why he gives this long list, and we won't read it all. I will tell you about my splendorous manifestations, but only those which are prominent, O Arjuna, for my opulence is limitless. I am the super soul, seated in the hearts of all living entities. I am the beginning, the middle, and the end of all things. Of the Adityas, I am Vishnu. Of lights, I am the radiant sun. Right? Of the Adityas, it means all the devas. They're all the sons of Aditi. Right? But of all of them, Vishnu did appear. Who was Vishnu? How did Vishnu appear as the son of Aditi? Anyone know? It's in Bhagavatam. There's one Vishnu incarnation that took birth from her. She prayed, all my sons are on the run from the demons. Bali's taken over everything. And then she did this payovrata, this special sacrifice, and then prayed to the Lord, please protect my sons. And the Lord said, not only will I protect your sons, I will come and I'll be your son. Right? And who was that? Vamanadev. Right? He takes birth as the dwarf. Right? And he takes everything back. Right? Bali, who was born in a demonic family, but actually was a great devotee, he had taken over everything from the devas. And so amongst all the devas, whether it's Indra or so many other ones, all the devas, the sons of Aditi, amongst them all, he's, when Vishnu appeared, right? The most glorious, powerful, wonderful, the one that's, in so many ways, he's beyond them. So amongst the ditches, I'm Vishnu. Of lights, I'm the radiant sun. Every other light gets it. This light of this pointer right now, do you know where it comes from? It comes from the sun, right? Somehow there's electricity coming through the wall, and that electricity is being produced by some source that's connected to the sun. One way or another, it always goes back to the sun, right? So all light comes. So of all lights, I'm the radiant sun. Of the Maruts, I'm Marichi, and among the stars, I'm the moon. Of the Vedas, I'm the Samaveda. It's full of very beautiful hymns. Of the demigods, I'm Indra. He's the king of the demigods, the king of heaven. So on and on like this, he's going to give a long list. Don't become distracted. When you see something great in this world, attractive in this world, powerful in this world, opulent in this world, your mind shouldn't go away from me. It should go to me. If you just see it like this, it's going to become easy to be thinking me all the time, right? All the time. Sometimes we see like a great singer. They're on the stage. You ever see Whitney Houston sing the national anthem? Gita Priya and I watch this sometimes. Just nobody in the world can sing like that. My God. It's like it's a very hard song to sing, the American national anthem. It's like you need a huge range to be able to sing it well. And in one sense, it's like a mundane political song, but she sings it, and you're almost like crying, Yeah. And then when it comes to the end, she just like hits these notes, and then she has this subtle way of like just kind of like and I saw some clip where there's this very famous football player, and he's also like one of the announcers of the football games. And they showed her singing the song, and he was saying, of all my years, like on the football, because she was singing like they sing it to open up the game, and he said, of all that I've seen on the football field over all these years, that was the most powerful moment I've ever witnessed. It was the national anthem, right? She had such power to sing. And most people think and say, oh my God, she's so great. And in one sense she is. But where does that greatness come from? That greatness is given, and that greatness is taken away by the power of Krishna. And it's just a spark of his splendor, right? So a devotee, Indradyumna Swami and Pradyumna Prabhu, two men that I know personally, two great souls. They were on the airplane with Srila Prabhupada. It was Indradyumna Swami's first time being like real close to Prabhupada like that. He was traveling with him. Oh my God, he's thinking I'm traveling with Prabhupada. They were flying from New York to London. And on the plane, Srila Prabhupada is watching this film of Charlie Chaplin and really enjoying it. And he's like this new devotee. He's like, oh, hold it, what's going on here? Like, Prabhupada is getting into this mundane film. And he said he actually got up from his seat and went to the back of the plane and he got Pradyumna. And he's like, do you see what's going on? He's like, yeah, I do. Is this okay? You know? And they were both kind of like confused about it. And Indradyumna Swami was saying, why don't you go and ask him about it? And Pradyumna was like, no, why don't you go and ask him about it? And then, no, you ask him about it, you know? And so they went back and forth, and someone asked him about it, and Prabhupada said something more or less like, you know, of comedy, of comedians, you know, Krishna is Charlie Chaplin. He said something like that, you know. In other words, this talent, this ability is given by God. And so when I see it, I think of God. You know, I once heard, I'll share a couple stories. I once heard an interview with Smokey Robinson, and he was talking about Marvin Gaye, who was producing this record called What's Going On. Okay, that record was like ahead of its time. It's a very beautiful record, but the music, the production of that record was like years ahead of its time, and after it, it changed everything. And so Smokey Robinson visited him when he was making that record, and he said, Smokey, I'm not making this record. God is making it through me. And he said like that, you know. And I saw an interview with Bob Dylan, and this is like later in his life. And the interviewer was asking about the early songs that he wrote, like "Blowing in the Wind" and "The Times They're Changing," and these. And he said, I could never write a song like that again. He said, why do you say that? And he said, I didn't write those songs. It's not just something that you can do. God has to empower you to do that. Well, I'll tell one more story too. There's how many of you do not know American baseball at all? Like, okay, not too many, but a few. You know, there's a guy trying to hit the ball with a thin bat, relatively thin bat, and there's a guy throwing the ball trying to throw it in a way that he can't hit it. And in the game, you have a pitcher that starts the game, but it's really wears your arm down. And also the batters start to get used to the way that you throw it, because there's all kind of tricky ways to throw it. You can throw it very fast. You can throw it so that it curves, or that there's different ways to trick the batter. And so after you've seen them once, twice, three times, the fourth time they come up, you get better at hitting it. So at the end of the game, there's a pitcher called the closer. They bring him in if you have the lead and you pitch the final inning, because also the team will do all they can to win the game. So they'll take risks that they wouldn't have taken at the end of the game, because this is their last chance to survive. Mm-hmm. So it's a very difficult position. It's a very high pressure position. Sometimes your team has fought hard the whole game for that lead, and then you have to come out and preserve that lead. And if you blow it, you just ruined everything. All that they worked for, you just lost it. And what to speak of when you're in like these playoff situations where there's 50,000 people just going crazy, and you got to keep a peaceful mind. Mm-hmm. And there was one pitcher that was the greatest of all time in that position. Who knows his name? Yes. Babe Ruth? No, Prabhu. Prabhu. It was Mariano Rivera. Mariano Rivera. Huh?
Was he a Red Sox player?
Oh, please.
I'm trying to poke you.
All right.
It worked.
So no, she just said, was he play for Boston? No, he did not play for Boston. He played for New York. But and they're the
Big rivals.
bitter rivals.
I feel that.
Which was interesting when you think about what he said. So he had one pitch. Normally, a pitcher has to have 2, 3, even 4 pitches so that they can confuse the batter and keep them. Like for instance, they throw it as fast as they can. That's one. And when they throw it as fast as they can, it may be 100 miles an hour, over 100 miles an hour. They have a way that they're going to grip the ball in a certain way and whip their arm just as hard as they normally throw it. But because they have it gripped another way, it comes 10 miles an hour slower. And so that can totally confuse the batter. Because when they throw it fast, they have to be swinging practically as soon as it's coming out of their hand. But then if it comes 10 miles an hour slower, then they look really ridiculous. So generally a pitcher needs to have, there's the curve and there's this. Mariano Rivera essentially had one pitch. Everybody knew what was coming. It was a pitch that just came in very fast and then cut in a very hard direction, like at the last second. And everybody knew it was coming, but nobody could hit it. And so that pitch made him the greatest pitcher of all time, essentially. That one pitch. And he was being interviewed, and the interviewer was saying, I've heard that you voluntarily are willing to show that pitch to other pitchers, even ones that play on other teams. He said, yeah, I'm happy to show them. He said, but why would you show them that? You're teaching them the pitch that they could use to beat your own team. All right? Mm-hmm. And he said, I can show them how to throw it, but they'll only be able to throw it if God allows them to throw it. Right? That's how he saw things. Interesting, right? So Krishna's saying, when you see Mariano Rivera throw that pitch, understand, it's God allowing him to throw that pitch. When you hear Whitney Houston sing that song, think of me, because it's me that's allowing her to sing that song. When you hear Marvin Gaye or you hear Bob Dylan, I gave them that, right? I gave them that. It's not that you don't even you can appreciate it, but when you really see the whole way through, you see that there was a programmer that gave that person that power, that takes away that power. You meet, for these athletes, the hardest thing in the world to do, you know what it is? Retire. It's so, a lot of times they hang on way past their prime, and everybody's saying, come on, man, it's time to hang it up. And they're like, no, I can still do this. And they can't still do it. And it goes on year after year. And then they, it's very hard, because that feeling of stepping out onto the field and the crowd just cheering you, that feeling, the rush that they get from that feeling is something like they've never had in anything else in life. And they know once I retire, it's gone. So they're hoping they can taste it more, right? But and a lot of them, their retiring is like very ungraceful, right? It's embarrassing. They perform unwell. The fans start to boo them. They complain. Why aren't they trusting me? Sometimes the coach took me out right at the most important part of the game, because the coach knows his job is on the line, and you may not be able to get it done. He trusts someone else to do it more. And they get upset. Look how great I played all these years. Yeah, but you're not playing that great now. It's been taken away from you, right? So, but there are some athletes that are more sage-like, that are able to walk away, that are grateful that they were given that power, and they understand it's something that's given and taken away. Can we all think like that about ourselves? Some things are given to us, and they're taken away, and ultimately it's all going to be taken away, right? So in any case, Krishna is speaking in these vibhutis and saying this is what he says. Let's go to the end. Know that all opulent, beautiful, and glorious creations spring from but a spark of my splendor. He's like this raging fire, and it's just a tiny little spark, right? And then he says, but what need is there, Arjuna, for all this detailed knowledge? With a single fragment of myself, I pervade and support the entire universe. That's the Paramatma he means. I'm inside every atom, right? My consciousness pervades everything. I support everything. I'm within everything. So what to speak of Whitney Houston or Bob Dylan or even all the other powerful. He's going to talk about the ocean, and he's going to talk about the shark, and he's going to talk about all these manifestations within that we see in this world. Yeah, that's my power. Everything's my power. The whole thing is supported by a single fragment of myself, the Lord Vishnu. Lord Vishnu, who all the universes come out of is the pores of his skin. In one breath, a universe is created and destroyed, or unlimited universes are created and destroyed, and I enter into every atom in those universes. I'm in it, it's in me. That Vishnu, Mahavishnu, his size we cannot even begin to try to calculate. That's just a fragment of myself. I'm busy playing and having fun in Goloka Vrindavan. And with a fragment of myself, I pervade and support the entire universe. See me everywhere. See me everywhere. Is that helpful? Mm-hmm. Right? Can we see this everywhere, or do we still get bewildered? Do we still get distracted? Here's a way to move through the world, not walk away from the world. Move through the world and always see Krishna. Okay. Questions about that? We did 10th chapter pretty quick there, right?
Yeah, that's good.
Okay. Got the main. Yes, Gulnara. We'll get the microphone over to you.
I was wondering about the, last time you ended with no envy. Arjuna, you have no envy.
Yes.
And knowing all this is perfect. And then is there some kind of an envy that arises, but why God is giving them this power and someone else this power and me some other, do people still wonder about that? Do they have envy?
People do. Why me? Right? Why them? I worked much harder than them, and they rose higher than me. Raghunath talks about this because, you get in a band, and you tour like crazy, and you write all these songs, and you tour for years, and you're trying to get your break, and then you see some other band that's not as good as you, that hasn't worked as hard as you, whose songs aren't as good as your songs, who hasn't put in the years of living in a van and going to a different city every night to try to, and they shoot right to the top, and you're thinking, why them and not me, and so this can, yeah, definitely, but we know what's going on there. We know that there's this karma, right? That there's karma. Krishna's, maybe you can pull up one of those pictures, the one that has the Lord Vishnu in the background. There you go.
Oh.
So all of these different manifestations in this universe, all the different bodies and so on, these are all, they're, in a sense, they're not real. It's like they're virtual reality. A different person is plugged in. This person is identifying as a man running down the road. This soul is identifying as a woman running down the road. This soul is identifying as a dog running down the road. This soul is identifying as a bird flying through the air. This person is identifying as a tree, rooted into the ground, right? And next lifetime, this person may be identifying as a woman. And this person may be identifying as a dog, right? When he's in that body of a dog, he's not able to fly like a bird. Why is the bird able to fly? Why am I not able to fly? Because when you have the karma of the bird, you'll be able to fly. When you have the karma of the tree, you have to sit as a tree. Then you can come back, you can be a human, right? Then you, according to how you live, you'll get some power. You'll get some power according to your desire and according to the merit that you've accrued. Maybe your band becomes huge from nothing. There's Mozart, right? He's like a little kid, and he's composing these incredible compositions. And how did he do it? The perfect example. This is a film Gita Priya and I enjoy too. Is this Amadeus? Yeah. Right. It's a film about Mozart, but it's framed very cleverly through the lens of the envy of Salieri, right? And they go back to Salieri when he's a boy, and he's praying to God, dear God, please, if you make me the greatest composer of all time, I will use it to glorify you. He says, right? Now that's not quite pure bhakti. Right? Like, I'm happy to glorify you if you make me the greatest composer of all time, so that I can enjoy the fame, the opulence, the adoration. It's really saying, I want your position, and I'll glorify you if you give it to me. In a sense, it's saying that. And so the film opens up with Salieri in like an insane asylum, and he's soon to die. And he's being there's like a priest saying, like, is there anything you want to share? Would you like to do your confession? And he's like bitter. And he says, well, what did you do for a living? Tell me about your life. And he says, I'm a composer. Oh, very nice, very nice. Have you composed anything I might have heard? And so he's sitting at a piano or harpsichord or whatever. And he plays a little something. Have you heard this? And the priest's like, no, I've never heard that before. Really? It was very popular in his day. You haven't heard it? He says, no. He said, how about this one? He plays it. I'm sorry, I don't recognize that either. He says, oh, what about this one? He plays it. He goes, oh, yes, that's a lovely melody. I've heard that one before. Oh, that was you? No. That was Mozart. And so it starts that way. And it's just like he's seeing this person who's just like uncivilized. It seems like he's ungodly to him, but actually his envy was more ungodly, And he's saying, why? He's become bitter towards God. Why did you empower this person who can so effortlessly just create? I was willing to do it for you, and you didn't give it to me. Why? So it's our karma, and we're going through. We're given different abilities and different empowerments and so on, and they come and they go. You're flying in one life, and then that's taken from you, and then you're walking, and you're going through all these different bodies. And ultimately, Krishna's saying anything that they get, he's the programmer of the virtual reality and the virtual body and the avatar that they get. He's behind it all. See me behind it all. Always see me behind it all. If you see that, then you'll see me all the time. You'll see me everywhere.
Why does it get taken away? Is so it's kind of so cruel that the athletes get used to it and then boom, it's gone. Is it because they're not grateful?
It's because we spoke yesterday. Were you here yesterday when we used the virtual reality analogy with William? And we said that if Kishori Gopi made a virtual reality and William was able to fly in it. Mm-hmm. Do you remember? Yeah, yes. But then Kishori Gopi saw, he's so caught up in that virtual world, he'll never want to come out. And so then what did she do? She downloaded and installed some programs into the virtual. And one of them was time. That everything of this world, you have it for some time and then it's taken away. And so that's how this world works. If it wasn't for that, we would never on our own decide, I want to come out. All right? We would just stay inside. So it gets taken away. And we all get to watch it get taken away. Yudhishthira. You're familiar with Yudhishthira? Arjuna's elder brother? In the Mahabharata, he's one of the most important characters. And he is so wise and so good and so noble, so dharmic. And his character and his wisdom really play out throughout the Mahabharata. But he was once put in this position where the lives of his brothers depended on his the depth of his knowledge of Dharma. And he was asked all these tricky questions, very tricky questions, questions that you wouldn't even know how to answer. Like, for instance, one question he was asked is, what is the most amazing thing? So like, the lives of your brothers are like resting on this, you're answering this question right to this voice. And you know what he said? He said that although everywhere around us we see that everyone is marching into the kingdom of death. Still, we think it's not going to happen to me. All right. Everywhere we look, we see everything's dying. The trees are dying. The insects are dying. The animals are dying. The people are dying. Everything's dying. But it doesn't arise in us enough. At least if we're not wise. If we're wise, we're taking note. We're taking note. But we're meant to see these things. You know, the sannyasis, sometimes they go to Varanasi. Do you know Varanasi? Varanasi is on the bank of the Ganges River. It's a very ancient city where a lot of the Jnana yogis go, especially. And it's also where a lot of people do the funeral rites for their family. They burn the bodies there on the bank of the river. And so these sannyasis, they go and they watch the bodies burn. Right? They want to watch it because they don't want to be like this, not picking up on what's being shown to us. So let me meditate on that body and think that soon that'll be my own body burning there. Right? Let me focus like this. Thank you, Gulnar. Okay. Where were we now? We were 11th chapter. We're ready to start, right? Okay. All right. Ready for chapter 11? What time is it? It is 11.
Oh.
Krishna miracle.
That's a Christian miracle? You count that?
I'm going to count that.
Okay.
So again and again, we've heard Krishna identify himself as the absolute truth that's described in the Shruti, in the Vedic text, in the Upanishads, and so on. Yes?
Yes.
We went through that a lot yesterday, checking out the language and so on. Now we just heard him say, Aham sarvasya prabhavo mata sarvam pavartate. Everything emanates from me. I'm the Lord of all planets and all the demigods and everything. And then Arjuna said it. You are Parabrahman, Paradhaman. Everybody says this about you. All the sages say about you. I've heard it. I've heard this. I've heard it from you. I've heard it from the sages. I've heard this all along. Could you show it to me? Could you show it to me? Could I see it? Right? That's chapter 11. Ready?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm just seeing why don't we check out text number 3. O greatest of all personalities, O supreme form, though I see you here before me in your actual position, as you have described yourself, I wish to see how you have entered into this cosmic manifestation. I want to see that form of yours. I don't even quite know how we would get this. Maybe he's heard about it. You know, there's this incredible scene. To me, the scene is just like, there's a scene just before this war. It probably happened within a couple weeks of this time, where Krishna, one last time, on behalf of Yudhishthira, went to Hastinapur, the kingdom of Duryodhana, to ask for there to be peace. Right? You all have heard of this before? It's just one last chance for peace. Krishna goes as the messenger of King Yudhishthira. Right? He likes to serve his devotees. I'll be your messenger. And he goes there with Satyaki, who is like kind of the general of his army from Dwarka, and his dear friend. And there, Krishna tells Duryodhana in the public assembly, he says, I've been sent by King Yudhishthira who wishes for there to be peace. And he has asked you to give back half the kingdom to him and his brothers so that you can exist peacefully side by side. And Duryodhana says, no way. And then Krishna says, well, then I've been asked that you at least give them 5 villages, right? Because they're Kshatriyas, that's their dharma. And to be a Kshatriya, you have to rule and protect some realm. So at least give them each a village whereby they can carry out their dharma. Bending over backwards here, right? And what does he say?
You won't give even a piece to put a pin.
I will not give them enough land in which you can place a pin. And then Krishna's like, okay, that's the way you want it. And I forget what it was that triggered Duryodhana. He must have said something. And
He wants to arrest.
well, then he said something that set Duryodhana off. And Duryodhana says, capture him, arrest him right now, arrest Krishna. And Krishna just laughs and he shows the universal form. Said, yeah, so he shows that universal form. They say it's not exactly the same form that was seen here, but he shows this universal form and just laughs at Duryodhana. But Duryodhana wasn't able to catch on. This is the Param Brahman, Param Dhaman. He just thought, oh, he's got some kind of tricks, some kind of mystic power, but but we can still defeat them like that. So Arjuna's saying, can you show me this form of yours? Maybe he heard about that. I'm not sure what it was, but you are the absolute truth. You're behind everything. You're pervading everything. Can you show me a vision of that form? Can I see it with my own eyes? And so Krishna's going to show it. And within this is a very powerful vision, and it's hard for us to imagine what it looked like. But what we do know is that everything was in there. All the devas were there. And it was kind of like seeing the entire universe in one spot, like everything beautiful, but also everything terrible, everything frightening, including the element of time. The element of time in its destructive power becomes revealed as Krishna's power. This is all me. And Arjuna is watching this go on, and he's shaking. And he even is shown a vision of all the warriors. He was wondering whether or not he should fight, right? Remember, if we go back to the beginning? Now he sees a vision of the future in which all the warriors on the battlefield are being crushed within the teeth of the universal form. In other words, he's being shown they're all going to die. Right? They're all going to die. It's what happens on the external level is brutal in this world, and everyone gets crushed. All these warriors on this battle will be crushed. Let's go to text 30. You can just open up the whole chapter. O Vishnu, I see you devouring all people from all sides with your flaming mouths. Covering all the universe with your effulgence, you are manifest with terrible scorching rays. O Lord of Lords, so fierce of form, please tell me who you are. I offer my obeisances unto you. Please be gracious to me. You are the primal Lord. I want to know about you, for I do not know what your mission is. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, Time I am, the great destroyer of the worlds, and I have come here to destroy all people. With the exception of you, the Pandavas, all the soldiers here on both sides will be slain. Okay. Arjuna was looking at his friend one moment, and the next moment he was looking at all the power of the universe. And he's shocked by what he's seeing. It's very jarring. It's very frightening. And Krishna's saying, time. This is my manifestation. You're seeing my manifestation of time. And just see the nature of this world. Everyone is searching for some shelter somewhere, right? You've searched for shelter being a king and being powerful. You had your position in society. It seemed stable, and then it became unstable. Your happiness became unstable. And you thought you could find shelter by walking away from the battlefield. But I'm telling you, I am the shelter. I am the Ashraya. I'm the steady one. There's nothing of this world that can give you true shelter, right? You need to find your shelter in life. And that shelter, it has to be kind, right? If we take shelter of someone that's not kind, well, then we'll suffer. But we also have to take shelter of someone that's powerful, because if they're not powerful, then they won't be able to provide that shelter for us. And so Krishna is showing, I am the all-powerful shelter, and there's no shelter in this world. Any shelter that you take within the material energy is going to be crushed by time, I am the one shelter that you can depend on, and I'm very kind. And he's going to show that even in this chapter, he's going to speak more sweet and kind words to Arjuna, right? So he's both. He's sweet, kind, compassionate, and at the same time, not just powerful, but all powerful. There's no more powerful force that can come along and override the shelter that he's giving. So he's the perfect shelter. In fact, he's the only one shelter, right? The only one dependable shelter. So I am time, right? And he said, time I am, etc., etc. With the exception of you, the Pandavas, all the soldiers here on both sides will be slain. Therefore, get up, prepare to fight and win glory, conquer your enemies, and enjoy a flourishing kingdom. They're already put to death by my arrangement, and you, O Sabyasachi, can be but an instrument in the fight. Does anyone know what Sabyasachi means? It actually means like left-handed. But like, are you left-handed? No. But in this context, it means ambidextrous. In other words, you can work with your left just as well as you can work with your right. Now, Arjuna, if we go back in the Mahabharata, we can see he was the best student of Drona. He was that student that was always practicing, He would practice blindfolded, right? Practice archery blindfolded. He would practice with his right hand, as was normal, but he would also practice with his left. You know, he was training himself, always training himself. In baseball, that's another thing. Like most kids just pick up a bat and swing. If you're right-handed, you swing from this side. If you're left-handed, you swing from that. But if you have like a father that wants to train you to be a great baseball player, they train you to be a switch hitter. They train that right from the beginning. You get trained up to swing as well because depending on whether the pitcher is right-handed or left-handed, it's advantageous to be on one side or the other. And so if you train early, you can become just as good with the left as you are with the right. This is Arjuna, but why is he saying that here? He's saying it because I could be asking anyone to do this, but I'm asking you because this is your dharma. You're the one that's meant to do that. I'm not asking Vidur to do this, right? There's so many people I could ask, but he's saying, Arjuna, you are trying to shift the material world to fit your will. Why don't adjust the material world to fit your will. Adjust your will to fit into the world. Don't try to adjust the universe to fit according to your will. Adjust your will to fit according to the universe, right? Mm-hmm. You have an ability. And there is a need, and that need is connected in your devotional service and you're connecting with God. Use it, right? Use it. And you get the credit for it. You'll get the credit for it. So he's saying, it's a message. Take what skills that we have, take what abilities that we have, and dedicate them to God. Adjust yourself and find your place in the universe. Find the way that you can serve God's will in this universe. If you try to adjust the universe to fit to your will, it's going to get scary. Mm. And Arjuna is terrified right now, actually, right, seeing this form. And he's going to begin to express that as we go through. Does that make sense?
Yep.
So especially in this chapter, I've been mentioning this for quite some time now, but is this full of verses where Krishna is identified as the very absolute truth spoken of in the Vedas and the Upanishads. We're seeing it right here. If you read the Purusha Shukta prayers, it says he's got eyes everywhere and heads everywhere and arms everywhere. Arjuna's seeing it. This is that Purusha that's spoken about in the Vedas. He told me everything emanates from him in the previous chapter. I asked him, could I see it? And he's showing it to me. And when I see it all, I see it's a scary vision, actually. This material world is scary. We walk around this world. We try to find our shelter. We think we're doing okay, and then something comes along in life and shows us, look how weak you are. Look how dependent you are. Look how fragile your circumstances are. Bhaktivinoda Thakur said, our life is just like a drop of water on a lotus leaf. Just that lotus leaf is waxy and When you have just one little bead of water, it's practically like a little bead of mercury or something like that. It just could so easily just slip off that leaf. One little breeze, one little bump. Whew, that's what our life is like in this world, right? So take shelter. And if you take shelter in me, no matter what obstacle is there in life, you've found the dependable shelter. And so Arjuna is saying, Krishna is definitely that dependable shelter. He is that supreme behind everything. Everything is his energy. It's a terribly frightening energy, this material energy. I have abilities, and he's asking me to use them and connect to him through using those abilities in service. And then as we get towards the end of this chapter, we hear, well, let's go to text 38. You are the original personality of Godhead, the oldest, the ultimate sanctuary. You see here? You understand? The ultimate sanctuary of this manifested cosmic world. You are the knower of everything, and you are all that is knowable. You are the supreme refuge above the material modes. O limitless form, this whole cosmic manifestation is pervaded by you. O limitless form, Ananta Rupa. Right? Ananta Rupa. He's not just saying that your form is endless, but your form is unlimited. The impersonalist is going to have to find some way to explain this away. But how can a form be unlimited? Their whole philosophy is based on the idea that form is limited, therefore it can't be the absolute truth. But right here it's being said in Bhagavad-gita that Krishna's form is Ananta Rupam. You have an unlimited form, right? It's of a different category. It's of a different nature. It's made of spirit. It is spirit. It's the very original spirit. Text 48. O best of the Kurus, Kuru warriors, Arjuna, no one before you has ever seen this universal form of mine, for neither by studying the Vedas, nor by performing sacrifices, nor by charity, nor by pious activities, nor by severe penances can I be seen in this form in the material world. Comparative study here now, right? The Gyanis are studying the Vedas, right? The Upanishads are part of the Vedas and they're studying them, right? There's sacrifices to perform in the Vedic literature and charity to give and pious activities to reap good karma. The Gyanis are performing, and the Tapasvis are doing severe penances. Well, isn't it yatta matta tata pata that every path leads to the same place? No, apparently not. He's saying that all of these practices are limited and they do not qualify one to see the form of the absolute truth. It's already been established very clearly now. It's been spoken of and it's been visually shown that Krishna is the supreme behind everything. If you want to see the supreme behind everything, it's saying all of these other Vedic paths or dharmas do not get you there. Only devotion gets you there, right? Okay. And now let's go to 53. 53 through 55 really hammer this home. The form you are seeing with your transcendental eyes cannot be understood simply by studying the Vedas, nor by undergoing serious penances, nor by charity, nor by worship. It is not by these means that one can see me as I am. You cannot see the absolute truth by those means. They won't grant you that. They won't grant you that vision. They're limited. Bhakti can grant it, right? My dear Arjuna, only by undivided devotional service can I be understood as I am, standing before you, and can thus be seen directly. Only in this way can you enter into the mysteries of my understanding. Okay, so he's giving a full-throated endorsement of bhakti above all other Vedic dharmas as the way of revealing the absolute truth. And finally, he'll say, my dear Arjuna, he who engages in my pure devotional service, free from the contaminations of fruit of activities and mental speculation. He who works for me, who makes me the supreme goal of his life, and who is friendly to every living being, he certainly comes to me. He certainly comes to me. Again, right here, remember 4th chapter, 5th chapter, 6th chapter, how he's talking about how we relate to other living beings. It's so important.
Yeah.
So here he's saying, you make me the goal of your life. You do your work for me. And you're friendly to every living being. You're not really satisfying me unless you're doing that. Right? You're not really seeing me within them. How could you be cruel to another living being when you know Krishna's right there in their heart? Right? You understand? Yes, Kishore, go.
When he says free from the contaminations of previous activities, is that karma?
Yes.
Okay, so when you're
Yes.
free from karma.
You see, when you achieve this state, what is karma there for? What is karma, what is purpose is it meant to play?
Free to grow, to learn lessons.
Yes. Or you could say our reformation, right?
Yeah.
To learn the lessons that we need to learn. This person's already learned them. It's kind of like, the prison system is kind of meant to be that way, and that's why they have parole and so on. The idea is that if the prisoner has actually been reformed, there's no need to keep them in the prison anymore.
Right.
Right? And so in a sense, this world is a prison, and karma is itself kind of the prison.
Okay.
And it's meant to reform us.
Okay.
But if we've already understood everything that we're meant to understand, then you become free. Where was it? Free from, was it? Yeah. Free from the contaminations. Oh, no, here? Was it here?
Oh, my
Where
book
were you
says
reading
it a little differently. I think this is
okay.
just an older version. It
Yeah.
says
Which
free
verse?
from the same verse, 55.
55.
It says free from the contaminations of previous activities.
I see.
So it's just an older translation.
Contaminations of fruit of activities right there. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, we did chapter 10 and we did chapter 11. We did chapter 11 in 20 minutes. Is that all right? But you feel you got to feel, I mean, obviously we missed a lot from it. But I think the important messages we spoke of, you feeling good? Ready for chapter 12? Chapter 12, we're going to read the whole chapter. It's a short chapter, 20 verses. And it's the conclusion of the middle 6 chapters. And it summarizes a lot of the most important stuff that we've been emphasizing throughout this course. You ready? Mm-hmm. There's really 2 sections to this, or you could say maybe 3 sections. Arjuna has a question, and it is the fundamental question for Vedantin. And Krishna's going to answer it straight up, no ambiguity whatsoever. We're very clear about this. It's interesting because I've heard Advaita Vedantin's comment on this chapter and comment on the answer that Krishna gives, and I have to appreciate that this one Advaita Vedantin, he was saying, now this verse is very hard for us to hear. He said there are ways to explain it, but even he was admitting that to explain the truth of this away, one really has to push it. Okay, so let's see what Arjuna asks Krishna here. Because remember, if we go back to chapter 9, we heard about different people that worship the Absolute in different ways. And one was saying that they worship the impersonal oneness. Mm-hmm. And then that was but he said, but my devotees who worship me, they have all these advantages. But now going back to that, and we can know for sure that Arjuna, again, he knows a lot of yogis and a lot of different types of meditators, and he's met people that didn't worship the form of God, or let's say the form of Vishnu, but they were absorbed in the non-personal feature of the Supreme. Now, in one sense, there's no problem with that, right? But the problem becomes when you say that you have to give up that Krishna's form is illusion. That's where the Vaishnavas say, now we need to respond to that. Mm-hmm. Okay. So Arjuna inquired, which are considered, why don't we open this one up? He's going to say, Yoga Vittamaha, the most perfect in knowledge of yoga. Vit means to know or to understand. Who knows yoga better is essentially the question here. Who understands yoga better? right? Arjuna inquired, which are considered to be more perfect? Those who are always properly engaged in your devotional service, or those who worship the impersonal Brahman, the unmanifested? Okay, who knows yoga better? Who's on a better path? Simple, straightforward, very direct. An invitation which Krishna accepts to create hierarchies within the teachings of Vyasadeva. This path is higher than that path. This path is better than that path. These yogis know yoga better than these yogis.
So this is the yoga ladder.
Yes, yes. That's something that a lot of people resist. They don't want to hear that kind of talk. But Krishna's talking that way. Arjuna's questioning him in that context, and Krishna is answering in that context. Okay, so what do you think Krishna is going to say? It doesn't matter. Whichever one you pick is fine. You're not going to say that. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, those who fix their minds on my personal form and are always engaged in worshiping me with great and transcendental faith are considered by me to be the most perfect. Oh, he just said it. And then he's going to say this, but those who fully worship the unmanifested, that which lies beyond the perception of the senses, the all-pervading, inconceivable, unchanging, fixed and immovable, this is all, again, very Vedic, Upanishadic language, the impersonal conception of the absolute truth by controlling the very senses and being equally disposed to everyone, such great persons, engaged in the welfare of all, at last achieve me. Okay, so he's saying, now this is significant for different reasons. One is, Krishna said that if you worship me, the person, Bhagavan, rather than the impersonal feature of me, Brahman, it's a much easier, better path. You know yoga better, right? And he's saying, but you can worship the Brahman. You can worship my impersonal manifestation, my impersonal feature, and you will get to me eventually if you are also engaged in the welfare of all, seeing everyone with equal disposition, that you'll eventually. So what he's saying is that the path of Jnana Yoga is meant to lead to him, if you understand it right. Right? The path of Jnana Yoga is meant to lead to him. It's not meant to lead. It's not meant to end in the impersonal. It's meant to continue beyond that and go past that. But let's hear what else he has to say about it. For those whose minds are attached to the unmanifested, impersonal feature of the Supreme, advancement is very troublesome. To make progress in that discipline is always difficult for those who are embodied. He just said it straight up, right? Said it straight up in clear, unambiguous language. So he's saying, you can reach me that way, but it's very, 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 very difficult. Whereas, let's compare this. But those who worship me, giving up all their activities unto me, and being devoted to me without deviation, which is the whole formula that he's been giving all along for the past so many chapters, engaged in devotional service and always meditating upon me, having fixed their minds upon me, O son of Pritha, for them, I am the swift deliverer from the ocean of birth and death. I get involved, and quickly, I take them out. It's not all based on their effort. It's not like they have to perform intense austerities and walk away from the world and go through this dry, bitter, lifetime after lifetime process of separating what is truth from what is illusion. He said, no, I quickly reach down, I pull them right up. Like that. Right? When they come to me as a person, when they come to me on a personal level, I reciprocate with them on a personal level. When they come to me with affection, I respond with affection. And how can I leave someone that I'm feeling this deep affection for suffering in this world? Now, if they don't want me, I don't feel good about them being in this world. But if they don't want me to get involved, I won't get involved. And they can struggle themselves to try to work their way out of this. They still can't do it without at least some of my help. Right? But if that's what they want, that's okay. But those that know yoga better, they just turn to me. They take shelter in me. Make sense?
Yeah.
Now he's going to go down a ladder. The best thing you can do is just always be thinking of me. But if you can't do that, I can tell you what you can do next. You ready? Why don't we roll this up to the top? Just fix your mind upon me, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and engage all your intelligence in me. Thus you will live in me always without a doubt. It's as simple as that. Just stay connected through your mind, always with me. You could do that, just walk to Vrindavan, find a tree, sit under the tree, and think about my pastimes. You'll be perfectly situated. You'll be totally connected to me, right? There's nothing more that you need to think about. That's it. That's the whole thing. That's where I want you to get, to where I'm just always on your mind. I'm always on your mind, then you're always on my mind, and we're perfectly connected in love, like that. But how many of us can do that? It's very difficult. Our minds seem to go all over the place, right? So what if we can't do that, right? Okay, that's not a problem. My dear Arjuna, O winner of wealth, if you cannot fix your mind upon me without deviation, where is that again? Absorption, this deep absorption, right? Maybe you're not there yet. If you can't do that, that's okay. Then follow the regulative principles of Bhakti Yoga. In this way, develop a desire to attain me. Practice meditating on me. Practice bringing your mind to me. How might one do that practice? Yeah, chant. Pick up a bead bag and chant. Regulate. I'm going to do this. I'm going to chant 64 rounds every day, right? I may not be fully absorbed. My mind might not easily go to Krishna, but through this practice, through this regulative practice, I'm practicing having my mind always absorbed on Krishna, right? That makes sense, right? So he's saying, then follow the regulative principles of Bhakti Yoga, and in this way develop a desire to attain me, right? I'm going to do this practice. But what if I try doing that and I got no taste for it, you know? Have you ever sat down to chant your rounds and you didn't have any taste for it? Anybody happened to anybody?
Yes.
All right, okay. That's also okay. It's also all right. If you cannot practice the regulations of Bhakti Yoga, then just try to work for me, because by working for me, you will come to the perfect stage. Oh, very interesting. Very interesting. All right. When Srila Prabhupada came to the West, you know how many rounds he said everyone should chant every day if they get initiated? 64 rounds. They said, we can't do that. Are you kidding me? And then I think he said, okay, 32. And they're like, why are you, that's 4 hours, you know, no taste, you know? He said, okay, 16, that's minimum. But then he started to work them, right? He probably would say these things, work hard all day for Krishna, right? He would say, you should come home at the end of the day after doing all this devotional service. You should be so tired, you fall asleep as soon as you hit the mattress, right? Sometimes you say, work hard all day distributing book, like that. He engaged us, right? He engaged us. So really, we're kind of like, he gave us kind of like this and this, right? Kind of like 8 and 9. He gave us practices to practice meditating. He gave us the name to meditate on. He gave us the lila to meditate on. He gave us the form to meditate on, and gave us practices by which we would bring our mind. He gave us, our whole morning program is like a meditative, regulative practice to bring your mind to Krishna. But he didn't have us do it all day. You know, we do a morning program. You wake up right from 4:30, you're seeing the form of Krishna, singing the song to Krishna, meditating on the meaning of the song. Then you're sitting down and chanting japa for 2 hours, trying to bring your mind to the name, right? Then you'd hear the Bhagavatam, you hear the lila of Krishna. So nama, rupa, lila, you know, meditating on Krishna. And we would do that for some hours. So that was like, you know, this practicing, right? Following the regulative principles of Bhakti Yoga to develop a desire. But how many of us would be able to do that all day? Most of us don't have the ability. Maybe we do it for a weekend at a retreat and we feel good about it, but we would have a hard time maintaining our enthusiasm and our concentration. Then go out and work hard for me, right? And doing, you know, we're in the kitchen and we're cutting vegetables and we feel good. You know, we're hearing the lecture and we're engaging our body and engaging our mind, and we're thinking of Krishna while we're doing this, you know? My thing, I would go out and sell books. For 13 years, I just did it on the streets, I was so, granted my mind could go here and there, but in a way it was engaging me in thinking of Krishna. I felt like I'm doing this for Krishna. I felt very connected to Krishna, very connected to Guru, very connected to Krishna by doing that, talking about Krishna all the time, right? So you work for me. That way you get your mind moving in that direction, right? What if you can't do that? There may be different reasons why you can't do that. Maybe my family will totally freak out if I start doing that, right? Maybe because I need to work a job because I have a family to support, I can't do that all the time. That's okay too. If, however, you're unable to work in this consciousness of me, then try to act by giving up all the results of your work and try to be self-situated. Okay, if you can't work doing devotional service where you're remembering me all the time, then do work, and at the end, take the results of the work and offer it like that. Ideally, offer it to me, but at least offer it away. At least be detached from it. And is it in this verse? Why don't you open that one up? And let's see the commentary. Yeah. It may be that one is unable even to sympathize with the activities of Krishna consciousness because of social, familial, or religious considerations, or because of some other impediments. Maybe the circumstances in my life make it very difficult for me to become Krishna's full-time servant like that. If one attaches himself directly to the activities of Krishna consciousness, there may be objections from family members or so many other difficulties. For one who has such a problem, it is advised that he sacrifice the accumulated result of his activities to some good cause. He doesn't even say give it to Krishna, right? But at least you have to sacrifice. Such procedures are described in Vedic rules. There are many descriptions of sacrifices and special functions for the full moon day, and there is special work in which the result of one's previous activities may be applied. Thus, one may gradually become elevated to the state of knowledge, right? By sacrificing the results of my work and seeing myself as a servant is going to help mature knowledge in me. It's a way of cultivating that knowledge, right? Thus, one may gradually become elevated to the state of knowledge. It is also found that when one who is not even interested in the activities of Krishna consciousness gives charity to some hospital or some other social institution, he gives up the hard-earned results of his activities. That is also recommended here because by the practice of giving up the fruits of one's activities, one is surely to purify his mind gradually. And in that purified stage of mind, one becomes able to understand Krishna consciousness. So you may not be directly cultivating consciousness of Krishna, but you're cultivating selflessness. And through selflessness, you begin to be able to understand Krishna consciousness. Interesting, right? Mm-hmm. So he gave a whole ladder of places where one could fit in. Ultimately, we just want to always be thinking of Krishna like that. But he gave us a ladder. And again, I think a lot of what Prabhupada gave his followers was that combination of practice thinking of me and work for me, work thinking of me like that. Make sense? Okay, yes.
What if you don't think that your job is worthy of Krishna? So say, for example, I work for a big corporation and I don't really get much enjoyment out of my work and it's hard to gain any sort of passion for it. And then I get to home at the end of the day and I just don't feel like I could offer that to Krishna. I'm in the process of changing that, but it just doesn't feel very sattvic. It doesn't feel very genuine.
Yeah. Well, so we see here Krishna's giving options, right? Like one devotee may come up to you and say, give it all up now. And just always think, just chant, just go to Vrindavan and just chant all day. There's nothing better that you can do. Right? And in one sense, it's absolutely true, but in another sense, you might not make it that way, right? And someone else may come along and say, move into the temple, chant 16 rounds every day, and go out and go out on the streets and sell books all day. That way you're working for Krishna, but you're also practicing thinking of Krishna. That's another option, and it's available to you. Both of those options are available to you. But are those the best options for you? Or are they the practical options for you? You know? And if you can't do that, then it's saying work and give up the results of your activity, at least in some way. So you have that option too. Later in the Gita, in the 18th chapter, he's going to say to Arjuna, Arjuna, you have to fight this war. And you're thinking that the results of the war rest on your head. Okay? That's the way he was talking in the first chapter. But Krishna says, so the action of the war, you think you are the cause of it. But what I'm telling you is that there's 5 factors in every action. And you're only one of them. So it's not all on your head. He's going to say, for instance, he's not asking, others aren't being asked to fight that war. The warriors are being asked to fight that war. So the warriors may not have asked for it, but when it came up, they were the ones that have to do it. So is it their responsibility? Or it's just that they're responding to the circumstances? So he's saying, so Arjuna, you're really not responsible for this. And there are other factors, including ultimately God, behind everything. So he says to Arjuna, Arjuna, you should do your duty. And every duty that you do in this world, all the work that you do in this world is covered by some kind of fault. There's nothing entirely pure in this world, right? So he encourages Arjuna, even though you have to go and kill, even though you have to go and kill your grandfather, you know, you're not going to find any perfect occupation in this world. So do it because you're the right person to do it, because it needs to be done, but do it thinking of me. Do it with your mind focused on me. So you need to find where you feel you can fit in on that ladder as best as you can. And it may be, I accept that, some people, if they were to walk away from their job today for some big corporation that doesn't do ideal things in the universe, it would create such disruption in their life. Now my children are suffering because of this. I can't feed them and put them in school and all of that. And now I'm not thinking of Krishna at all. I'm just like in full on anxiety. So maybe the best thing for me to do is remain in this job, even though it's not ideal. A lot of the kings in the Bhagavatam, they don't like being a king. Why do I have to be a king? It means I have to be the Justice Department. I have to rule against people. Sometimes I have to get physical and violent. I'm always involved in negotiations with other nations. It all involves so much politics. It's so distracting from my spiritual life. There's all kinds of disadvantage to it. It pulls my mind into a political, messy world. I wish I didn't have to be a king. And they're waiting for the moment when they grow up and they have a son that's ready to take over that and all trained up, and then they're quick to walk away from it and become a sannyasi. So they're remaining in their difficult position, but there's something burning within. There's something burning within that they know in the future, I'm not going to be so tied down to this. And I'm waiting for that moment. And I'm doing whatever arrangements I have to do now so that they will come and I'm going to fully dedicate myself. So that's something that has to be applied to the individual and their circumstances and their desire and the intensity of it and all of that. I knew people there are people like here's just one example. Like there's this devotee we all knew named Aindra Prabhu. Have you heard of Aindra? And you've heard his kirtan before, right? He was like intense, like really intense, and he would speak that way. What are you doing with your life? You should just be doing kirtan. What's more important than that? There's nothing more important than that. And having someone like that, not everybody was quite willing or able to live his lifestyle, but he inspired a lot of people through his lifestyle. And for a lot of people, he would light something up in them that even though they weren't doing it, they would try to find a way to support what he's doing. That's one way. I work in a job where the corporation does things in this world that are less than ideal. There's no spiritual inspiration from the job itself. But in the job, I practice being a bhakti yogi, meaning I practice seeing the soul in every living being. I practice having an even mind. I practice giving the results of the work to Krishna in some way. So maybe I'm supporting some other devotee that is living that life, right? And in some way, I feel good about what I'm doing now. So there's a lot of ways that you can connect. We just have to see what you think works best for you. You know. Thank you. This is the biggest question on people's minds: is what is my purpose, and what do I do with my life? Like that, I find it very common. But thank you. It's a very sincere question. Paul in the back. Can you repeat the name of the devotee? Indra. Aindra. Yeah. And if you search on the internet for his kirtans, you'll find some amazing kirtans. He started a 24-hour kirtan in Vrindavan. Yes, Paul.
No, I just wanted to offer for those in the position like Freya just spoke about.
Mm-hmm.
There's a good book called Career Dharma by Urmila Devi Dasi.
Okay.
It's a whole book on about exactly what you said, finding your purpose
within
your career. And she even does sessions online in person to kind of get you to that position to start, working for Krishna. So it's called Career Dharma. It's on Amazon too. We also have some copies here. Oh yeah. Oh. Sure. Thank you.
Okay. Let's see if we could complete the 13th chapter before we break. Maybe we go just a little bit over. Is that okay? 10 minutes or so? Yes? And then we would come back, and for the second half of the day, we would have to do 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. So we better finish the 13th chapter. Right? Okay, you ready? Maybe we could even do the 14th, because I can do the 14th quick, I think. Yes. Let's just hit the end of this, though, so Krishna describes this pure devotional service, this unwavering meditation on him as the peak of the ladder, and something that we're all meant to come to that stage somehow or another. But he gave us all these different options of how we can connect with him. Very, it's not like too demanding, right? I mean, he's saying, always think of me, always think of me, always. But he's saying, but if you can do this, you can do this, you can do this. And then he gives this beautiful, he talks about who is dear to him, the qualities that are being manifested that make one especially dear to him. We get that beginning with text 13. One who is not envious, but is kind friend of every living entity, who does not think themselves a proprietor, who is free from false ego, and who is equal in both happiness and distress, who is tolerant, always satisfied, self-controlled, and engaged in my devotional service with determination, his mind and intelligence fixed on me. Such a devotee mind is very dear to me. Where does this land on our chart from duty to love? Well, the love might be there, but even if the love isn't fully manifested, right? If that prema is not there yet, right? Huh? There's definitely some absorption there, right? His mind and intelligence fixed on me, but I think especially wisdom, right? Let us try to achieve this stage. Let us hear what makes us dear to Krishna. It's not just chanting 16 rounds. It's not just showing up at the temple on Sunday or attending the morning program. These are mechanical things that we do. These are duties that we carry out. It's also not just what we know, but it's the knowledge maturing in us to manifest in us like this. And again, being a friend, kind to every living entity, not thinking ourselves the proprietor of anything, being free from false ego, equal in both happiness and distress, samatvam. We're seeing some samadarshana here, being tolerant, always satisfied. Right? This is a person, sattvic person, self-controlled, engaged in devotional service with determination, etc. He by whom no one is put into difficulty. Think about that. Think about the words that you use, right? Think about that. Even if it's justified, We usually find a way to justify it, rationalize it. But even if we go beyond what's rational or fair, sometimes it's fair for us to do something that disturbs another person. It's fair. But the sadhus, even though it may be fair, they still don't do it. You understand? He by whom no one is put into difficulty. Do you know any people that are like that move around this world not putting anyone into difficulty? Have you ever met people like that? I know some people that are like that. Right? He by whom no one is put into difficulty and who is not disturbed by anyone, who is equipoised in happiness and distress, fear and anxiety, is very dear to me. Right? This is that wisdom platform that we've been describing. My devotee who is not dependent on ordinary course of events. Hold it. It wasn't supposed to be like this. I said we made an agreement. Even if things aren't exact. I showed up here and I was expecting it like this. Their mind doesn't get disturbed. Oh, I guess Krishna arranged for it to be like this for me. I guess this is what I'm supposed to accept now. My devotee who is not dependent on the ordinary course of activities, who is pure and expert, without cares, free from all pains, and not striving for some result, they're very dear to me. One who neither rejoices nor grieves, right, on the material level, who neither laments nor desires. They don't need anything. They don't need to get away from anything, right? And who renounces both auspicious and inauspicious things. Such a devotee is very dear to me. One who is equal to friends and enemies, who is equipoised in honor and dishonor, heat and cold, happiness and distress, fame and infamy, who is always free from contaminating association, always silent and satisfied with anything, who does not care for any residence, who is fixed in knowledge and who is engaged in devotional service. Such a person is very dear to me. Those who follow this imperishable path of devotional service and who completely engage themselves with faith, making me the supreme goal, are very, very dear to me. All right? We need to become like this, right? So much of this is that wisdom platform. Maturing that knowledge in us so that we let go of all the small things in life, rise above them. Okay? Nice, huh? Mm-hmm. Something worth memorizing, something worth thinking about, coming back to. Looking at ourselves through this lens, considering, are we rising up to this platform or are we stuck? Do we always rationalize our way out of this? Yeah, that's true, but look who they are. Look who we're dealing with. Look what they did to me. Look, there's always a way to rationalize it. It's rare that person that goes all the way, right? It says, I'm going to live this no matter what. Okay. Chapter 13. Now we move into, we've gone through the Karma Yoga section, the Bhakti Yoga section, and now Jnana Yoga. What that means is we're going to hear a lot of stuff that talks about the metaphysical reality that we are existing within. Understand the universe that we're in. Understand the influences within that universe. Understand the elements of that universe. What are the three elements in the universe that we're dealing with again? Yeah. All right. You could say God, the soul, and matter, Jiva, Paramatma, Prakriti. These three categories, we're going to hear a lot about them, how to understand them, how do they relate to one another. Because this kind of knowledge, it's not that we're interested in not becoming bhakti yogis and becoming jnana yogis. It's that jnana is within bhakti. That a bhakti yogi begins to understand all these things, or that understanding these things is favorable for the practice of bhakti. If we don't understand these things, we're going to get distracted and pulled away from our meditation on Krishna. So this kind of understanding is healthy and favorable for bhakti. All right? And we're going to hear a lot of it. And so let's start at the beginning of chapter 13. Oh, my dear Krishna, he's going to ask, he asks 6 questions, but it's almost like one question. He wants to know, tell me about the field and the know of the field. Tell me about knowledge and the know. Basically, he's asking, there's the conscious being that knows, and there's the field in which they exist. Tell me about both of them. Okay? And the answer comes even in text number 2. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, this body, O son of Kunti, is called the field, and one who knows this body is called the knower of the field. So we already have been talking a little bit about this. You got the field, which is matter, the body, and the knower of the field, which is the soul. Okay. And then he says, O sign of Bart, you should understand that I am also the knower in all bodies. And to understand this body and its knower is called knowledge. That is my opinion. So he said, there's the fields, the knower of the field. I'm also the knower of the field. Know all this, and that's called jnana. That's called knowledge. Right? We're getting the metaphysical layout. Is there any element, a speck within this universe that doesn't fit under one of those 3 categories? Nothing. You're thinking about it, right? No. Everything fits under one of those 3 categories. It's either matter, jiva, or Paramatma, or God. Right? Okay. Now please hear from me in brief, hear my brief description of this field of activity and how it is constituted, what its changes are, whence it's produced, who the knower of the field of activities is, what his influences are. The knowledge of the field of activities and of the knower of activities is described by various sages and various Vedic writings. It is especially presented in Vedanta Sutra, with all reasoning as to cause and effect. So he's saying this is all Vedanta. You can read about it in the Vedanta Sutra. I'm going to tell you that now in a super condensed form. And what he does is, and we're not going to get into it, but he approaches it from the type of analysis that's called Sankhya, where you take the material energy, this one category, and you break it into 24 different elements. And then you realize that I am not any of these elements, so I must be beyond them, and I must not be matter, and I must not be my body or my mind. It's a way of yoga, a way of freeing oneself from the influence of the material energy through analysis. And so he gives that whole analysis. And then he starts to talk about that that's a type of knowledge, but even all that is just theoretical. How do we deepen our knowledge and truly understand I am not this material energy, I'm not this body, I'm not my mind? How does that become deeper? How does it grow? How does it mature from being just knowledge? How does it mature into wisdom, to realize knowledge? And he gives a list of things. And that begins in text number 8. Humility, pridelessness, nonviolence, tolerance, simplicity, approaching a bona fide spiritual master, cleanliness, steadiness, self-control, etc., etc., etc. These are all virtues, you could say, different virtuous aspects of one's lifestyle or one's practices that help mature knowledge into realized knowledge, jnana into vijnana, knowledge into wisdom. Right? And he lists this whole long list. Some of these are for people in certain circumstances and others are for people in other circumstances, but they're all favorable for that. And he also says this one, real important one, constant and unalloyed devotion to me. Right? And so when the acharyas, when the great commentators on this, they say that one, from that one comes all the others. Like that. This is by far the most fundamental and essential one of them all. Okay, so you get this interesting list. Knowledge is a topic here. We heard knowledge was defined. There was a breakdown of it through the Sankhya analysis. Then we hear about how knowledge matures. But what is it that our knowledge should be focused on? What is the true object of knowledge? What's most essential? Yeah, it's really going to become... Yeah, here it's going to be presented as, because it's all within this universe. Krishna usually does not come in this universe. Right? Like this universe has a very, very long lifespan. And Krishna just pops into it for a short amount of time and then pops out. But he's always here. But how is he always here? As Paramatma, right? As his Vishnu expansion. So that's when we speak about this universe, Krishna is kind of beyond the universe. But Paramatma is right in the universe. And so when we talk about which element we're going to be meditating on, or really want to know, especially, there's going to be a mention of the jiva because it's spirit, but most of this chapter is going to now speak about Paramatma. And it's going to speak about Paramatma, describe Paramatma's relationship with the material energy and with the self. Then it's going to describe how different yogis find Paramatma within themselves. And then we're going to hear about the vision that one gets when they realize Paramatma inside the self. You ready? Okay, so let's skip ahead to text 13. I shall now explain the knowable, knowing which you shall taste the eternal. Right? Because now we're not talking about just the material stuff. We're getting into the eternal stuff. Brahman, the spirit beginningless and subordinate to me, lies beyond the cause and effect of this material world. Now we get descriptions of Paramatma. Everywhere are his hands and legs, his eyes, his heads and faces, and he has ears everywhere. In this way, the supersoul exists, pervading everything. Again, total Upanishadic knowledge, Vedic language. The supersoul is the original source of all senses, yet he is without senses. What does that mean? Doesn't the supersoul have senses? Doesn't he? And there's a way that I explain this. Maybe you could pull up a virtual reality image. Maybe the one where there's just one guy sitting there. Yeah. So here's a guy plugged into a virtual reality, right? And when he's in that virtual reality, he has eyes, nose, tongue, skin, ears. He's got all the senses, right? Yes. But are they senses really? They're kind of like a reflection of senses, right? So we would call these senses and we would call these senses. We call them both senses, but there are two different categories. And so when it says that Krishna doesn't have senses, it means he doesn't have these. He doesn't have the temporary, material, artificial, virtual senses. He sees and he's got the real thing. We're stuck with this equipment, with his virtual stuff. He doesn't have that stuff. Does that make sense? Yeah, so sometimes there's things that say like the Supreme has no eyes, he has no ears. There's other things that say his eyes are everywhere, his ears are everywhere. It means he has no material eyes, no material ears. He's not stuck with the same weak equipment that we're using. All right. Yes.
So, like in the analogy you used a few days ago with the reflection in the window,
Yes.
could we apply that here? Like,
Sure.
So we are the reflection and he is the source of the reflection? So like our senses are just a reflection of his, so they're not completely real?
Well, they're even a reflection of what we have in the spiritual realm too, because the self by nature sees and hears and all these things. But the point that I'm trying to make is, if we say the senses, what do we all think of? We think of the material eyes, the material ears, the material nose, etc., which are actually just replicas of the real thing. He doesn't have any of that. We think we have that. Actually, it's imposed upon us. It's actually a limitation placed on us. So when we say he doesn't have senses, it's a way of saying he doesn't have limited senses like we have. He's got the real thing. He's not stuck, plugged into a virtual world, working with virtual senses. We are. So we're carrying that baggage. The picture's not there anymore, but it's okay. But he's strapped into all this artificial weak stuff so that he can enjoy an illusion. Krishna's not trying to enjoy the illusion, and he's not stuck with these artificial, weak imitation senses. Yes, let's get the microphone to you, please.
So does that mean that is another way kind of, again, we're talking about Paramatma.
Yes.
And so Krishna is always conscious of everything that each and every one of us is doing, seeing, smelling, each of our experiences at all times. Is that when he says that everywhere are his hands and legs, his eyes, heads, and faces? Is that basically the jiva or any?
That's the Paramatma.
So is this talking about the Paramatma?
Yes.
Right? So the Paramatma is everywhere. So that Krishna is always conscious of everything, of what's going on.
Through Paramatma.
Through Paramatma.
Yeah, Paramatma is always conscious.
The Paramatma is always
Yeah.
conscious. Okay. I think.
Okay, we need to move a little bit fast here. Everywhere are his hands, legs, his eyes, his face. We read that. The super soul is the original source of all senses, yet he's without senses. He is unattached, although he is the maintainer of all living beings. He transcends the modes of nature, and at the same time, he's the master of all the modes of material nature. He's got these apparently paradoxical qualities or opulences. The supreme truth exists outside and inside of all living beings, the moving and the non-moving. Because he is subtle, he is beyond the power of the material senses to see or know. Although far away, he is also near to all. Right? Again, paradoxes. He's the most far away. I mean, we don't. How far away is the Mahavishnu? It's like we don't even know. But at the same time, he's right inside us too. Right? The supreme truth, yes. Although the super soul appears to be divided amongst many beings, right? He's in this one, this one, this one, this one, this one. He is never divided. He is situated as one. Although he's the maintainer of every living entity, it is to be understood that he devours and develops all. It all goes back into the body of Mahavishnu. When we say Paramatma, we're generally talking about the third Paramatma, which is the Krishna within the heart of every living being. But really, Mahavishnu is Paramatma. Garbhodakshaya Vishnu is Paramatma. Kshirodakshaya Vishnu is Paramatma. They're all Paramatma, the great soul. Right? To different manifestations of the same being. Which one are we on? Although the super soul appears to be divided, we read that. He is situated as one. Although he's the maintainer of every living entity, it is to be understood that he devours and develops all. He is the source of light in all luminous objects. He is beyond the darkness of matter and is unmanifested. He is knowledge. He is the object of knowledge. He is the goal of knowledge. He is situated in everyone's heart. Thus, the field of activity is the body. Knowledge and the noble have been summarily described by me. Only my devotees can understand this thoroughly and thus attain to my nature. Well, that's a big statement too, right? The Gyanis can't. The Gyanis don't understand. The Gyanis often interpret the self to be one with the Paramatma, but they're not. They're distinct. Okay. Now we're going to hear about the union of matter with the jiva, or the Purusha and Prakriti, when they connect with one another. Material nature and the living entities should be understood as being beginningless. Their transformations and the modes of matter are products of the material nature. Right? In other words, the soul has always existed, the material energy has always existed, and all of these changes that we go through, whether they're emotional changes or physical changes in the material energy, bodily changes, all that is the movements of the material energy. Nature is said to be the cause of all material causes and effects, whereas the living entity is the cause of the various sufferings and enjoyments in this world. Could you pull up that picture of the guy in the virtual reality again? Nature is said to be the cause of all material causes and effects. In other words, the material energy, all that's going on here, he really doesn't have anything to do with it. There's a programmer who's programmed the virtual reality that's manifesting it all. Right? He can't really change anything in here. It's all, he may desire to do something there, but his ability to do it in this world is entirely facilitated by the programmer of the virtual reality. Yes?
Yeah.
Everybody's with me? But it's saying that on one hand, it's saying ultimately he's powerless within this realm. Anything that he does is sanctioned by the computer programmer. At the same time, so then couldn't he say, well, then why does the computer programmer make this world so rough on me? Why is he causing me to suffer? Yes? Mm-hmm. Huh?
That's the age-old question.
Okay, so here's the old age answer from Bhagavad-gita. He's responsible for his own suffering because he's making choices. And those choices are playing out in this realm, not by his power, but by the power of the material energy as directed by the supersoul. And so he's responsible for his own suffering, although he's really, anything that happens within this realm is only carried out by the supersoul's power and by the movements of the material energy. Is anybody cloudy on that? Should we say this again? It's like if there's all different seeds in the ground and then it rains and a bitter melon grows over here and a watermelon grows over there. Could the bitter melon say, why do I have to be the bitter one? Why did the rain do this to me? But it's not that the rain did anything different. The rain fell the same upon the bitter melon seed and the watermelon seed. But it was the coding within that seed that made it grow differently. Why am I suffering in this world? Why is God doing this to me? It's not God that's doing it. It's how I'm choosing to respond. All right? So although God is entirely controlling this atmosphere that we're in, we have the choice to how we respond to it. And based on those choices, we may or may not be able to even lift our pinky. That's ultimately up to the supersoul. But the results that we get of happiness and distress, we're the cause of them. We're the cause of our own suffering. Like that. It's a powerful statement. And it can bring us to a point of radical responsibility, right? Ownership of our own suffering, right? That's where change starts to begin. Okay. The living entities in the material nature thus follow the ways of life. We move through the world, enjoying the three modes of material nature. This is due to his association with that material nature. Thus he meets with good and evil, with, let's say, pleasant and unpleasant circumstances amongst various species. We take birth in all different kinds of species, right? Due to our desire to enjoy the material energy, we get a virtual dog body, virtual cat body, virtual bird body, virtual human body, and we're moving through the material energy. Yet in this body, there is another, a transcendental enjoyer, right? He's not suffering like we're suffering. He's always enjoying, transcendental enjoyer. He's not enjoying the material energy. He enjoys beyond the material energy, right? Yet in this body, there's another, a transcendental enjoyer, who is the Lord, the supreme proprietor, who exists as the overseer and the permitter, who is known as the supersoul. Upadrasht anumantacha, bharta bhokta maheshwara. This is a really powerful verse to understand the presence of this supersoul in our lives. One who understands this philosophy concerning material nature, the living entity, and the interaction of the modes of nature is sure to attain liberation. He will not take birth here again, regardless of his present position. Now, okay, well, how do I see this supersoul? How do I connect with it? How do I feel it so that I can become free? Then I'll understand everything that, I get it now. I'm in a virtual reality and I understand how it operates and how it moves and my role in it. How do we get that? How can I know the supersoul within myself? He's going to say there's 4 different paths of yoga that people take. Some perceive the supersoul within themselves through meditation. We could call that? What type? Dhyana yoga, Ashtanga yoga, Raja yoga. Others through the cultivation of knowledge, Jnana yoga. Still others through working without fruit of desires, karma yoga. Again, there are those who, even they might not be conversant in spiritual knowledge, they begin to worship the supreme person upon hearing about him from others. Because of their tendency for shravana, for hearing from authorities, they also transcend the path of birth and death. What is this speaking of?
Bhakti.
Bhakti yoga, right? Okay, now we hear about the vision. That's the way that you can achieve the vision, through these different paths of yoga. How can you, what do you see? What do you understand? How does your vision of the world change? What do you experience? How do you experience things differently when you got this? Are you ready?
Yes.
This is good stuff. O chief of the Bhartas, know that whatever you see in existence, both the moving and the non-moving, the trees, the animals, is only a combination of the field of activities and the knower of the field. There's just the material energy in the self. One who sees the super soul accompanying the individual soul in all bodies, and who understands that neither the soul nor the super soul within the destructible body is ever destroyed, they actually see. They're actually seeing what's going on, right? When I see a body, I'm thinking there's a soul within that body. And I also know God's present there. And I'm always aware of this. It's never outside of my awareness. One who sees the super soul equally present everywhere, in every living being, you ready?
Yes.
Does not degrade himself by his mind. Thus he approaches the transcendental. He's not doing stupid stuff. He's not doing silly stuff. He's not doing harmful stuff. He's not doing violent stuff. He's not doing destructive stuff. He's not doing useless, boring, mundane, because he knows God's there all the time. There's nowhere he's looking where he's not feeling God's presence, and that presence is uplifting him, uplifting his awareness, keeping him on a higher level. It's just like someone may do some kind of destructive behavior that they would never do in front of their guru or in front of their parents or in front of the presence of someone that brings out the best in them. You wouldn't behave that way in front of them. And so similarly, when you know God is there all the time, you won't behave that way, right? You don't degrade yourself. One who can see that all activities are performed by the body, which is created of material nature, and sees the self does nothing at all, actually sees. And that's the virtual reality picture again. Right? Could you get that? Yeah, the same guy in the virtual reality. Thank you, Verity. In this realm, he does nothing at all. It's all just digital stuff going on, right? He's actually seeing what's going on. We're like that. We're like that. We're this little spark that's desiring, and maybe our body moves, but this isn't really, it's just like the Matrix are saying, right? In a sense, we're beyond all of this. And we have our little desires, and the material energy starts to move. But ultimately, we realize we don't do anything at all. That's the material energy moving under the direction of the Paramatma. It may sanction our desire. It may not sanction our desire. But ultimately, I don't have the power to move the material energy. It's only moved if it's sanctioned and facilitated by higher powers. Okay, directly and indirectly by the super soul. The devas are also involved in this and so on. When a sensible man ceases to see different identities due to different material bodies, what is that called? Equal vision. Samatvam. Equal vision. Samadarshana. Equal vision. Yes, exactly. When a sensible man ceases to see different identities, that's a cow and that's a human. On one level it is, but it's two souls. Right? Two souls. We don't despiritualize any living being, right? Like we say, dehumanize. Just like if you want to take over another land and exploit it, you kind of have to dehumanize the people. Oh, they're a bunch of savages, Similarly, we despiritualize. Oh, animals, we can kill them. It's okay, right? No. You have to see them equally. There's a soul, same kind of soul in each one. When a sensible man ceases to see different identities due to different material bodies and sees how beings are expanded everywhere, he attains the Brahman conception, sees the oneness. Those with the vision of eternity can see that the imperishable soul is transcendental, eternal, and beyond the modes of nature. Despite contact with the material body, O Arjuna, the soul neither does anything nor is entangled. The sky, due to its subtle nature, does not mix with anything, although it is all-pervading. Similarly, the soul, situated in Brahman vision, does not mix with the body, although situated in that body. Right? So much is contained within the sky, but the sky doesn't change. Right? And we can be in the material realm and we can not change. O son of Bharta, as the sun alone illuminates all the universe, so does the living entity, one within the body, illuminate the entire body by consciousness. Those who see with the eyes of knowledge the difference between the body and the knower of the body, and can also understand the process of liberation from bondage and material nature, attain to the supreme goal. We went through it fast, but it gave you a bit of a picture. Yes?
Yes.
We're 20, or is it 20 after 1?
Yeah.
I could either do in the next, we'll come back later. I'm going to do the 14th chapter really fast when we come back. And then we'll have to do 15, which I want to spend more time on. I really love that chapter. 16, 17, and 18, which is a very long chapter. So what do we got to do? 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 5 chapters. All right. We'll do it. We'll do it. Some of them we'll do very fast. Thank you all so very much. Thank you. Hari Om Tat Sat.